This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
One of my favorite memories when his cars ran 1, 2, and 3, Jeff Gordon winning the Daytona 500. I think Labonte was second, and Ricky Craven was third. That was a great race for Rick as well.
Except that Rick wasn't here. Racing Electronics hooked him up with a two-way so that from home he could talk to his drivers on track. That was pretty trick.
It was. He's had some great memories here, I can tell you.
So the guys finally got enough cars they wanted to get out there and do a little practicing, and we've got about 11 cars out there right now. And speaking of Rick Hendrick, the 48 car, we've been watching him. He's in this pack right here.
This is coming off turn 4.
Up behind the 44 car there, and the car just, it kind of picks up that push where the front end's sliding, then the front bites, and then it's a little bit loose. And it's like we're seeing that on a lot of race cars in the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, the front, yeah, you can see Jimmy's car is really sliding the rear around a lot. But here's something to think about. Joey Logano comes in and says, my car, I could hardly drive it for the first 8 or 10 laps. Really, really bad loose. And then, whoa, that's really, really bad loose when you got somebody stuck up on the back end of you like that. But they start these cars out that way. And that's the secret to success. Who can hang on to the thing for 8 or 10 laps while waiting for it to come to you, so then you can go racing. That's the tricky part.
44 there is A.J. Allmendinger in one of the Richard Petty Motorsports cars. That's the new name for what was Gillette Evernham Racing and Petty Enterprises in their off-season merger.
We tried that a few times, me and Hammond, and you know, I'd be saying, I can't, I'm so loose, I'm gonna wreck this thing. He said, just be patient, it'll come to you. And you know, the second time they went by me, it was starting to come around. She was starting to feel pretty good.
Well, you look at Joey Logano, he ran 18 laps. That's almost a half of a run. The reason that thing started getting a little bit tight on him, it started burning that fuel load, putting some nose weight into it.
The Hall of Fame is taking shape in Charlotte, North Carolina. It will open in 2010. And here in Daytona, Speedway stock car portion of Speed Weeks is up and running with the opening round of practice for the Budweiser Shootout. All 28 cars have been on track for at least 5 or more laps. Kyle Busch has run 22 laps. That's the most, or rather second most of any driver. Matt Kenseth's run 24, Casey Kane 23.
Yeah, this will probably be about the last run of this practice session for most of these guys. And the old engine tuner, I'm sure, told the crew chief, get them to get me a plug check where they shut that thing off at RPM, where they look at the spark plugs before the final practice coming up in about an hour and a half, and make sure they've got that thing tuned just as good as they can with this carburetor restrictor plate.
That's an interesting point, Larry, because with the unleaded gasoline that they run now, that 99 octane Sunoco GTX, is the plug check as beneficial a tuning tool as it used to be in the days of leaded gas?
Boy, I didn't mean to dodge your question,
right.
but Kyle Busch, again, turn 4, coming off turn 4 on the bottom. We were almost looking at his right door that time. Let's take a look at this again. He was on the bottom, just coming off of turn 4.
Car 18.
Second car right there behind the 6th car. It hits those bumps, and then he gets on that late exit and just gets in that little bit of slide.
Now that's when I'd have been heading right on back down pit road right there, but he never even lifted.
Caution on the speedway quickly as Jeff Burton's car goes into the garage in a plume of smoke that started up in turn number 4. Watch that 31 at the front of the pack going up in smoke.
Yeah, he's trying to get down out of the way. Did a really good job. Showed everybody around him, but that looks terminal.
Yes, it does.
That doesn't look like an oil line. It looks like it's coming out from everywhere. That looks like an oil pan.
Yeah, I'd say they know exactly what their plan's going to be here. It's going to be to put a new power plant. You can see they're already backing it in the garage area to change engines in that 31 car. But they seem to be doing about the same thing with him that they were doing in the first practice, is just get as many laps as possible. Right now he's working on lap 13 in that 20 car.
It's like producer Sam Flood used to say, cars turn left, we talk about them. Cars turn right,
we show them a lot. Talk about them a lot.
Run is coming to Speed. Our buddy Bill Goldberg takes 12 teams on the ultimate high-stakes road trip. They might make it through the desert in one piece, but they'll need to make it through his challenges to collect 200 grand in cash and prizes. Bull Run with Bill Goldberg premieres February 19th, only on Speed.
We got to running with the Bulls here.
And it's not Pamplona, it's Daytona. Ah, yes. First, watch the 20.
Up the hill, and he gets a lot of wheel in it and around. Boy, that's close.
It's like that thing picked up that push.
Big push.
Front end wouldn't turn up off of 2.
And now Casey Kane.
Yikes.
That was coming off turn 4 just a few laps ago. He actually took it to the garage area, I think.
Yeah, he had Reed Sorensen right alongside. No contact with Reed, but a bit with the wall.
Don't you think, Larry, that would be, don't you think most of these guys are running about 25 laps because that's the first segment, and so you kind of get a feel for where you are in that, and you know it's going to get worse in the next 25. So.
Well, it's the first segment, and it puts you halfway through that second segment.
Exactly.
Don't miss the ultimate pre-race party in NASCAR for the first time this year. NASCAR Race Day. Live from Daytona before the Budweiser Shootout. John, Jimmy, Kenny, and Wendy get you ready for the first on-track action of 2009. Big crash up in turn 2. There's Paul Menard and Scott Speed.
Yeah, when you were reading that promo, we could see Paul Menard in the 98. He was like sideways up at the top of the track.
I believe it was a right rear or something, because it looked like the car just started to get all at once.
Well, let's have a look, Darrell.
It's right here going into turn 1, and about right along in here it just starts.
I believe it was the right rear rear tire.
It appeared to be.
Scott Speed just couldn't stay off him.
Yeah, it just steps out. It's got the look of a right rear tire being down. See if we can see when he comes by here. Yeah, I think that's what it was. You see the sparks off the wheel.
I believe in the first replay we see a little something flying out from behind. There it goes. Yeah, you saw the rubber chunks flying out from behind it.
What's going to be good is I think we've got minimum damage on both those race cars. Scott Speed, he turned that car just at, I mean, almost the last minute.
That right rear gets into the wall pretty good right there.
A little bit of right front damage on Scott Speed's, the 82.
You can see the right rear tire is definitely down on the car. Got them down on the racetrack. We came here a year or so ago, and they couldn't get them down on the racetrack like that 14 car is right there going into turn 3. So they've learned how to get the car down and still make it drive good, and they've gotten a lot more speed out of the car.
And look who's together. Our two favorite drafting partners at Daytona, Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., they just always seem to find each other, don't they?
They do, and they work well together. You know, it doesn't matter. And that's, I guess that's, I know they're both in Chevrolets, and that's a beautiful thing, but I guess it goes back to what I was saying earlier. I know this race is about the manufacturers. In the perfect world, you would hope that manufacturers help each other, teammates help each other, and I'm sure we'll see some of that. But when we get down to 5 or 10 laps to go, you're going to go with who can help you. It doesn't matter what the emblem says on their race car.
What Tony told us this morning was that he and Dale Jr. find each other on the racetrack, and the reason they run so well together is that when Tony thinks about making a move and Junior's in front of him, it's the same move Junior's already making.
Right.
And when Tony makes a move, it's Junior going with him because that's the move he intends to make. Not that any move is right or wrong, but oftentimes you line up with somebody, and if they are going to the left and you're thinking of going to the right, then it doesn't work out for either one of you. But it just seems that he and Junior seem to want to make the same moves on the racetrack in concert, and it works.
Yeah. Well, you can't argue because they've had some very good success together. But Junior's just a good guy to draft with. I mean, I think about he and my brother. They had some great runs together. And Junior's a good guy to draft because he doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't do anything weird, you know. He just kind of does what you would expect a guy to do in every situation.
And that is the end of practice. And one thing we are seeing different at Daytona is around the inside of the racetrack, we're seeing a double yellow line. Mike, I think that was a lot your idea.
Well, we all kind of talked about it and talked with NASCAR about it. For Daytona and Talladega was after Darrell raised the question, what happens when we go to California and you got the same yellow line you got at Daytona, but there you can go below it and here you can't. You know what a double yellow line means, folks? No passing.
No passing.
Don't cross that line.
That's out of bounds.
We're going out of bounds, and we will see you tomorrow with practice coverage and the Budweiser Shootout on Fox. Hope you've enjoyed this final round of Budweiser Shootout practice. Jimmy Johnson wins practice.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.